This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the easiest way to create a powerful online presence. I know what you're thinking, Iberia is a freaking snooze. Well, maybe not quite, but Iberia is either a complete unknown to you or you probably haven't heard very positive things. So I must admit that given what I'd heard, I was sort of impressed by my 2 Iberia business class flights. But being impressed is relative, especially when you've heard so many bad things. So now that I've confused you completely, what did I really think of Iberia? Let's find out. My wild night on Iberia started the way all wild nights do at the lounge in Santo Domingo airport. By wild, I mean sweaty, underdressed, and exhausted. By wild, I also mean that Oscar and I had just spent 2 hours sitting in our rental car in a Burger King parking lot waiting for the airport check-in to open. I don't know how you guys feel about these late night flights, but for me, I don't really love them when there's a full day of just having to waste time to get where you need to go. This is actually, surprisingly, my first time flying Iberia long-haul business class, so I'm super excited to try it and share the experience with you guys because I've heard very mixed things. This lounge had pretty nice hot foods, including this pasta, which was good. And I just want to remind you guys that until the end of the year, until 2021, if I reach 500,000 subscribers, I'm going to be bringing 3 of you guys on a flight with me in Q Suite. So if you want to enter to win that flight, all you gotta do is hit subscribe. To give some context to this flight, Oscar and I are trying to visit 100 countries before we turn 25 in May 2022, so we hit up Haiti and the DR before taking this flight to our base back in Sweden. If you want to watch our videos from the trip, click the card now. So, let's talk about Iberia. Their long-haul fleet is made up exclusively of Airbus aircraft, with 20 A330s and 6 A350s at the time of making this video. Iberia's primary market is connecting Europe to Latin America and somewhat to the US. They have quite a large European network and, fun fact, are owned by the same company that runs British Airways and Aer Lingus. So behind the scenes, they collaborate and share a lot of aspects of their operations, including the same catering from Doe & Co, joint ventures with American and Finnair, and much more. Anyway, welcome on board. Remove the mood lighting and you notice that the color scheme on Iberia is very former Soviet Union government-run insane asylum vibes. I can't quite figure out why they chose such drab colors, but to each his own, I guess. The Iberia A330-300 has just 29 business class seats spread out across 8 rows. The front lavatory is closed due to COVID, so there's only 1 lavatory, and this is shared with premium economy. More on the problems this caused later. I was initially not so confident about my decision to sit in row 1, but that turned out to be an excellent decision. The Iberia A330-300 is set up in a 1-2-1 configurations with middle seats alternating between being closer to the aisle or closer to each other in the so-called honeymoon seats. These are absolutely fantastic if you're flying with someone you like sitting close to. You're close enough to talk without shouting, you can see each other and share everything, but you still have your own space. Best of all, you're really in a cocoon, and in row 1, you have the pleasure of not having to see anyone else. Woo, look at this. And you're basically sitting as close as in economy, but it feels a lot better because it's a lot more spacious, of course. This is awesome, I can't wait to sleep and everything.
I'd take this over economy any day.
Yes. Now when it comes to sitting alone, I'd recommend the window seats. If you're the type of person who likes sitting in an aisle seat, the odd numbered seats are for you because they really are in the aisle. Like, you are literally part of the aisle. There's no separation, no privacy, nothing. When sleeping, your face will be 6 inches from the beverage carts and other passengers, so you decide if that sounds appealing to you. The even numbered window seats are where it's at and offer a better experience in every way and have direct aisle access. There's plenty of storage at the seat with several sections to choose from. Next to this side console, you have some well-padded armrests. The tray table design feels like something a preschooler would come up with, but it works. It's just weird to have to stare at the tray table all the time. The stress of being constantly reminded I should be working instead of watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off was really difficult. Thanks, tray table. Speaking of the entertainment system, mine didn't work, so I called the crew. After 3 minutes, no one had come, so I tried again. After another 5 minutes, no one had come, so I went to the galley to get someone. When I told them what was going on with my seat, they simply said I need to reset it, and before I could add another word, they walked away. No sorry about that, no sorry for the wait. Also, they never came back to check if it actually started working, which it thankfully did. I really don't like complaining about service for 2 reasons. Firstly, cabin crew obviously have among the most demanding jobs in the world. Secondly, I'm lucky to fly many of the world's best airlines on a consistent basis, so I'm really spoiled. That said, the service on Iberia was really unusually bad on both my flights. My first interaction with the crew was before I tried to get them to fix my entertainment system. Straight after boarding, they were coming through handing out headphones. This was the first service they provided and the first interaction with their passengers. So, did they say hello? Welcome on board? Did they address you by name? No, they simply stand there with the tray expecting you to grab a pair without saying a word or making any eye contact. The service sadly gets even more underwhelming than this though, so stay tuned. Soon enough, we were ready for takeoff for our 8-hour overnight flight straight across the Atlantic, in over Portugal and into Madrid. So what is the most important thing on a red-eye flight? To most people at least. Efficiency of service. Most people want to maximize their sleep, so I am timing exactly how long it takes to serve the meal and then to clear the tables and turn the lights off. On business class tickets costing several $1,000s, people are paying several dollars a minute for the comfort of their seats going lie flat, so efficiency is really key. The meal was served 40 minutes after takeoff, which was a great start. One thing I found weird is that due to COVID, Iberia only allows people to have 1 drink at a time. I'm not sure how having 2 drinks makes things worse, but okay. The catering out of Santo Domingo was as basic as it looks, but at least the portion was large. Impressively, the tray was cleared and I was ready for bed 70 minutes into the flight. Not bad considering every seat in business class was taken, but also perhaps not too surprising given the fact that the entire meal was served on a single tray. In case you want to get some work done after eating, Iberia does have in-flight Wi-Fi, which is really reasonably priced without data caps. For me, it wasn't work time though, it was sleep time. The bed was spacious, comfortable, and private. I loved the bedding and got 5 hours of deep sleep.
Good night. I'll see you over probably the Azores or maybe Portugal. We'll see.
In my slumber, I dreamt of exploring the world with my beloved Nonstop Nation viewers after I reach 500,000 subs. When I woke up, I felt like a new person. No, I didn't, but I felt refreshed and ready to eat. Exactly the same thing I had for dinner. Breakfast was served 80 minutes before landing, which wasn't too bad either since some airlines insist on serving it a full 2 hours before landing on short red-eyes. After breakfast, I had some serious business to attend to in the lavatory. Of course, I saved this until the absolute worst time of the flight to go to the lavatory, right before the seatbelt sign would go on, and the bad news was that there was only 1 lavatory open to passengers, and it was shared between the 29 business class and however many premium economy passengers there were on board. This meant there was constantly a long line of people. The lady ahead of me in the line of 6 people went in and noticed that the sink was literally overflowing. She kindly alerted the crew about it, who proceeded to shrug their shoulders and say, "We can't do anything about that, just hold it, we'll be landing soon." What an attitude. If we're landing so soon as they say, how about they open the lavatory in the front of the cabin since them, the crew, won't be needing it anyway? Okay, that's enough bitching. Just one more thing which is important to know when choosing an airline. Iberia apparently has the frustratingly cheap policy of collecting headphones 30 minutes before landing to prevent passengers from stealing them. I objected when the flight attendant reached me since I wasn't done watching my movie, so we compromised and they kindly brought me a pair of rocking headphones from economy to use during landing. After what felt like an eternity later, we landed at Madrid airport and headed straight to the main concourse for the lounge.
And welcome to Madrid. Back in Europe. Let's go.
Madrid airport is beautiful and all, but it's inconvenient for transit. Firstly, even as an experienced full-time traveler, I have a hard time figuring out which flight leaves from where in Madrid. Forget about the confusing terminals 1, 2, and 3, even in Terminal 4, the home of Iberia, signage and gate systems are strange. It's a 15-minute journey by train and escalator between the main concourse and concourse 4S, so getting back and forth to the main lounge is a schlep. Most inter-European flights depart from the main concourse, but wide bodies and long hauls usually depart from 4S. Since my flight to Frankfurt was operated by an A330, yay, it departed from the same concourse I had arrived at. Despite that, it was worth the ride to the main concourse Terminal C, which housed Iberia's only open lounge at the time, to take a nice warm shower.
And now we have hands down the best lounge amenity that exists. Ugh.
Oh, how magical, and there was no wait for the shower room either. Iberia's lounge is beautiful, has excellent food, private seating, and nice views. It is, however, remarkably crowded.
So we had such a nice time at the lounge. Although it was crazy crowded, it really did feel like such a nice change from lounges in the US and everything. Beautiful high ceilings, everything was it was great. The food was good. And as always, my tickets are self-funded, and I'll be showing you exactly how I paid at the end of the video because I got a great deal on both these flights.
Throughout much of the pandemic, Iberia has flown wide bodies on a weekly basis to various cities in Europe. I chose to fly on this date specifically to get an A330 to Frankfurt because usually Iberia uses a CRJ-1000. This is quite different from this. Not to mention, the difference between the onboard experience cannot be emphasized enough. The seat on this A330-200 is just the same as on the A330-300 I flew from Santo Domingo, and was oh so comfortable for the 2-hour flight from Madrid to Frankfurt. The A330-200 only has 19 business class seats and no premium economy. The 5 rows are spread out between door 1 and 2. This time I opted to sit in the last row to try that out and liked it almost as much as row 1. When traveling with someone you know, these center honeymoon seats really are excellent. The service on this Iberia flight unfortunately started out extremely rocky again. The crew announced boarding was completed and I thought, perfect, the window seat next to me is empty so I can sit there for takeoff and landing to see out. I moved and the crew immediately started staring at me weirdly. Then one of the flight attendants comes up to me and says, "This is not your seat. I'm moving another passenger here, so I'm gonna need you to return where you came from." Okay, thanks. I appreciate the warm welcome on board. Those were the first words the crew said to me. Besides, it turned out the quote-unquote passenger who was moving was actually an Iberia employee. Staff before customers? Nice. I went back to sit in the first row of economy instead to have a nice view out over the wing for takeoff. As I sat down, I noticed what the crew was doing in the galley. All 3 of them were on their phones at work scrolling through Facebook. Anyhow, the view from the first row of economy is beautiful. Economy, unsurprisingly, wasn't very full since this was before much of Europe reopened for tourism, and if you can get this seat, it's an excellent place to sit with pretty much unlimited legroom. Even on such a short flight, Iberia serves a full meal, which is pretty impressive. Was it the best meal ever? No, but it is still impressive for an inter-European flight. Thinking of hygiene with the pandemic and everything, I just had to show what the spoon looked like when I took it out of the paper. You also have access to in-flight entertainment and 30 minutes of free Wi-Fi on this flight. It doesn't get better within Europe. Before I knew it, we were approaching Frankfurt. I guess the surprising thing for me with Iberia is the contrast between the quality of some elements like the seat and lounge compared to the quality of the service, which was the most indifferent service I can remember. Thankfully, nothing the crew did was too upsetting or rude, but they also clearly don't love their jobs and showed a complete disregard for their passengers, which is just disappointing. Overall, for a red-eye where sleep is a priority, Iberia isn't a bad option with that that seat. But for flights where you're looking to enjoy the business class experience, you're better off looking elsewhere. I'll shortly go over how I paid, but first, I just made a video ranking all the airlines I've flown where I finally disclosed my favorite airlines for European travel. If you want, you can check out my video titled Why I Hate So Many Airlines to see it, or check out my brand new Squarespace website, which will be out soon. Building a website from start to finish is incredibly simple with Squarespace. Whether you're looking to start a blog where you can interact with your readers through an advanced commenting system, almost like here on YouTube, read through detailed statistics into traffic sources, readers, device types, and more, or simply showcase your work for a resume or portfolio, I will find all these features useful on my new and improved website. Again, if you want to create a quick and easy site, there's no better way than Squarespace, and you can get started with a free trial today at the link at the top of the description or at squarespace.com. And when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/nonstopdan to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So as I mentioned earlier, I paid just 42,500 miles one way from Santo Domingo to Madrid in business class, which is unbelievably cheap. The deal gets even better if you're flying between Madrid and the US Northeast, including New York and Chicago, at 34,000 miles one way. Right now, one of the best cheaper credit cards, the Chase Sapphire Preferred, is offering a staggering 100,000 point sign-up bonus and costs only $99 per year. The points can then be transferred to several partners, including Iberia. To continue to Frankfurt, I redeemed miles through British Airways, 17,500 miles one way to be exact. So for more info on the Chase Sapphire Preferred, check the link in the description, and until I see you all next time, fly safe.